We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are.
Hey everyone, welcome once again to yet another episode of Two Noobs Talking. It is episode 59, and with me, of course, is my good buddy John Tracy tonight. John, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Going on, Matt. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. I'm, of course, Matt Craig, and happy, of course, to be along for the ride. And John, before we get started, 59 holds a special weight in the city of Philadelphia. Players that have worn that number.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the one that immediately came to both of our minds was Seth Joyner. I mean, my God, one of the best linebackers in Eagles history.
Well, a little behind the scenes thing. It came to Matt's mind, and I totally forgot about it. I was like, all Mike Mamula up, and then he was like, Seth Joyner wore it, and I was like, oh, whoops. Hey, Mike Mamula was almost the best defensive end ever.
You know, and I remember when he was drafted, everybody, the biggest thing about him was like, look at what he's doing in Boston College. And I was thinking like, oh, that's great and all, but it's like, it's Boston College. Yeah, it's not like...
Not to be mean to Boston College, but...
Yeah. And this was like in the mid to late 90s, so they were kind of tail end of the Big East, just starting the Atlantic Coast Conference, but...
We're just saying, if you played defensive end in the mid-90s in Boston College, we're making fun of you. Like, not if you go to Boston.
Exactly. Then there was a couple of other players, right, Johnny? I mean, we had Derek Burgess was one. And he was a really good player.
Yeah, that was for like, I think he wore 58 primarily, but I think he wore 59 for one season.
Yeah, a couple.
You had D'Amico Ryans. Yep. I guess he was over from Buffalo in a trade or a free agent.
Houston, I think, too. I think he was also with the Texans. Yeah.
I have no idea where he played, but he came from somewhere that wore blue.
Yeah.
Played for us for a little bit. Good player.
Yeah. We also had Nick Cole, who was like a backup center.
Yeah.
Kind of just fill in. Case Hank
He also played guard during the Andy Reid era. He filled in at guard when on the left side, I believe. I think it was the 2004 run for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He filled in at left guard readily and did a good job.
And he did a great job. Yeah, he was a really good backup guy on that offensive line. And then we only had one Philly that both came to our minds after a little bit of research, but your boy Antonio Bastardo.
The best
or 59.
Yes. The season after he came back to the Phillies, after he got caught for steroids. But I don't blame him because steroids or no steroids, the dude could still pitch.
He could still pitch, exactly. Yeah, fastball slider. I think we also thought he threw a split finger, but I think that was in there as well. I think it was definitely fastball slider.
Yeah, he at least had 3 pitches, I think. He definitely. But that slider, you're right. That slider, that fastball, that short release he had. He's thick. He's a thick man.
Yeah.
Like, he threw for power. He definitely did.
It's amazing how, like, with the different types of arms that you had, Jamie Moyer could paint the outside corner, but Bastardo could really pound that ball right in the strike zone. I mean,
he was a great 7th, 8th inning guy.
Yeah.
Even he went on to a couple different teams. Pittsburgh was one of them, I remember. I don't remember.
I don't remember any
other one they went to, but I remember him being very serviceable and relievers, especially. Especially in
actually, 08, 09, 10, and then I think he had the steroid problem, and then it was like 12, 13, and then so he was like right in the mix of that bullpen.
He was definitely back during that run, that courageous run that only got a title. I'm not bitter. Should have had 5, but
yeah, well, it's still the golden age.
They were better than the Big Red Machine. They just never won.
Exactly.
I wanted them to so be that, but
yeah,
there's so many Hall of Famers on that Big Red.
Oh my gosh, yeah, up and down that lineup was just unbelievable. Yeah. Well, John, here we are. Topic 1 as we open up episode 59 of Two Noobs, and here's one that kind of, caught our eye. It's from USA Today, the crayon of the newspaper world.
Yes.
123
Sesame Street. Let's go.
123 Sesame Street. But this one should probably freak out some people here. Headline: in a hypothetical 2024 matchup, Donald Trump leads Joe Biden by double digits in Iowa poll. Johnny.
Yes.
And they're saying here in the new survey, 51% of likely voters in 2024 would vote for Trump. 40% would vote for Biden. It's a gap of 11 percentage points. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Well, first for everybody that knows, they already know kind of where I'm going to go with this. Like the Iowa poll is important at this time, especially during this election frame that we got the 2021 election out. That's not the major election, 2022 election. So they take these polls to kind of see. This isn't a presidential poll necessarily. They're pulling the weight of this red wave. They're trying to, they're gauging it because that's all politics ever do. We're constantly gauging things.
Yeah.
We want to know and want to feel because that's where you dump money. That's what this actually is this is where the big donors are going to dump money. But 11% of a guy that lost an election a year ago with a record number, I'm using quotes because it's Biden, record number of votes on the other, that swing is bigger than just 11 points. You're talking 29 to 30 points on a swing. Just if you're looking at the 2020 election, the 21 election, you're looking at this poll moving forward to the 2022, you're talking a bigger swing than that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's a way bigger swing because you got to think if the country is that down on Trump in 2020 and they're that high on Trump 2021 going into 2022, that's a huge swing. That's the biggest thing I brought from that poll.
No doubt. No doubt.
How big of a move it was.
I think the biggest thing for me is, he's still very popular. Trump is. He's still very popular in the Republican Party.
You can't deny that.
Yeah, and you can't deny that. The only question really that I would have on this is that, the politics has gotten worse and worse seemingly, really since 16, but you could date it all the way back to really George W. Bush, even further back than that. But it's gotten progressively worse.
I blame the original Bush for the politics we have
41.
now.
It's fair enough, yeah.
Carter was so bad. Reagan was so polarizing. Bush kind of changed it to identity politics because you couldn't ever do what Reagan was so polarizing. Working people either loved him or hated it. He's kind of like Trump.
Well, they spoke right over the top of the media. And the media couldn't stand him.
Yeah, there is no middle ground with guys like Reagan or Trump. But I go all the way back to Bush with the identity politics because he totally won because he was with Reagan.
Yeah.
But he won on the fact that he wasn't Reagan. Like, Reaganomics sucked. He was just throwing Reagan under the butt. Kind of if Pence, for anybody who doesn't know, it's like if Pence would have ran for president in the primaries against Trump and buried Trump in the primaries and then got the nomination and then became president. That's what Bush was to Reagan. He was the anti-Reagan. That's how he got there. Literally, that's what it was.
Exactly. But then I guess the only question I would have for you, Johnny, and I'll throw this out there. I mean, let's face it, Trump is definitely a polarizing figure.
Yeah.
You've got a guy who's very popular with the Republicans. The lightning rod for the Democrats seems to be that it galvanizes the Democrats to vote anti-Trump. Well, I'm going to go continue to do that.
And I could understand why.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and
I totally understand why.
Yeah.
I'm not lost on the fact that the dude's a douche.
Exactly.
Like, I totally understand why highly intelligent people or people that don't want to play the political game and they just want change. Yeah. And that's a lot of what the Democratic Party is. They just want to make the world better. I understand that.
Sure.
Like, I totally understand where your allegiance lies.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Dealing with a guy like Trump, and also now, like, you're starting to see it with Biden because Biden's always kind of been that way, but he's always been the shiny face for the Democratic Party.
He's always had the flashy smile or whatever, but
he's now showing you that kind of pound on the desk, kind of a
narcissistic.
He's not a nice person.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing. He's showing his true colors now.
He's showing his true colors, which we knew was, I think, I knew was going to come out ultimately.
Yeah, always. Always.
Dig in a little deeper to this poll, Johnny, and this is very interesting. The poll found that among Iowans who identify as Republicans, 61% say they are more aligned with a party compared to 26% who say they are more aligned with Trump.
Which I think why it's called the Iowa caucus.
Yeah.
I think that is I'll go out on a limb. Matt knows I follow statistics and politics very well. I'll go out on a limb. I think that's the bleed of the nation. I think there are more Republicans now than ever.
Oh yeah.
But I think it's because they align with conservatism, and they align with more people are religious now than they have been in the last 10 years.
What a time to be alive, right, Johnny? I mean,
exactly. When we talk about the Great Awakening, we talk about understanding, the Scripture. Then we talk even deeper. But religion seems to be more at the forefront of people's minds.
I think it's probably become more clear. I think
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying it the way I was trying to. It's become.
I think it's more clear now, and I think you saw that a little bit in 2021 in Virginia and New Jersey, because you saw people really. It wasn't necessarily Republican Democrat that really got Youngkin to win Virginia,
and it wasn't
about ideas and really individual liberties and rights. And what are you doing to make the next generation realize this and not filling their heads with CRT? In New Jersey, that was pretty much like, that was Murphy being really a boob at the end of the day. And he nearly lost the governorship after winning it 10 points ahead. But you had I'll never forget it, the state senator winning with like less than $10,000 to his campaign. $153 to start. He's just knocking on people's doors going, I need your vote.
You know me well enough to say that I'll call a conspiracy out when I see one. I don't think Murphy won. I really don't think.
Yeah.
I think he pulled some. I think some people that are not with us no longer probably voted for him. Did that close?
Razor thin margins.
It's the same thing with Newsom's recall. There was some kind of trickery. They're elitist. We know they're elitist. Trust me, we know they're elitist.
Yeah. But I think the upcoming elections are not going to be as. You're not going to see a Democrat with a 10-point win unless it's going to be in a deep blue situation.
You're not going to see the tomfoolery that you've seen.
No, and that's my point. I think you're going to see, as long as I think if the Republicans take the stance in 2022, if you're looking at it from a Republican standpoint, I should say, if they just stick to issues-oriented politics and just
say, like, the central base.
Exactly. And just try and win that.
Because
really like your individual liberty is at stake, as opposed to the other party that wants administrative state, government oversight, government control, and they're seeing the result. And people are seeing the results of this, in terms of whether you go to work, whether or not you're going to be, or you go to church or not, or whether or not you have to wear a mask or not. It's a lot of different individual things, but a lot of it is based on individual rights versus the state.
Yes.
And that's where it's really going to come down to, I think, in 2022, where you start to see the red wave, where you saw it in Virginia. I think it's only going to continue, for next year.
As long as, and not to say this as this is totally a red wave or Republican side. I think what you're going to see more and more, what this is showing, this Trump thing is showing, is that if you go up and make sense, if you're a hardworking person, if you're a person that believes in the values of America, it doesn't matter, and this is the controlling the central base is what I'm talking about. If you come out as a Democrat and you literally are saying the same things that Herschel Walker is saying, who's running as a Republican, trust me, you're going to get elected.
No question.
Because that's what that's the key point to this whole thing that I think we beat out of the whole thing is we're looking for sensible human beings.
Yeah.
That's it's not so much going to be red blue anymore.
No.
That red wave, that's a media thing.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
What I think is happening is it's Sense and Sensibility. We're looking for the people that are like, you know what? I'm not going to indoctrinate your kids. I'm not going to shove political, media, corporate agenda down your throat. Exactly. I'm going to fix your roads. I'm going to open your libraries. I'm going to close the government on Thanksgiving. I'm going to tell business owners like Target just did, they're closing on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
That's more family time, less BS, less garbage.
Yeah.
Because that's what we were being sold for the longest time.
Yeah.
People that are doing that, we're not gonna break up the family unit. No. We're gonna help the family unit.
Exactly.
That's all that Virginia was, and that's all that dude in New Jersey was, and that's all that I feel with this Trump thing is.
Yeah.
Trump's policies didn't suck if you and I can be a target and that's fine, but only be a target. Yeah, only be a target. I'll only be a target if you read the policies that I read.
Mm-hmm.
His policies weren't bad. Is he a boob? Is he an idiot? Did he handle coronavirus bad?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 100%.
Absolutely. He was a part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's the president. He was a part of the problem.
Yeah.
He can't deflect that ever.
Yeah.
But technical policies and stuff he did, even the executive order that got 230 into the Senate. Yeah. These are things that leaders should do. Exactly. I don't disagree with, and I'm not playing identity politics. I'm talking about his actual, I don't care about him as a person, but he did good stuff.
No question.
Did he do great stuff? I mean, you could argue that.
Let's face it, the Middle East, a great example of that would be the Middle East policy that he had.
Which I like. I can't disagree on that at all.
At that point. And domestically, we were rolling pretty good.
By the way, he did get, and this is an America thing, this isn't an American media thing, he did get nominated for 2 Nobel Peace Prizes.
Yeah.
As president.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not lose that. Did this buffoon racist idiot that CNN wanted to create?
All he had to do was get rid of this. That's the only thing he had to do is just chuck that into the ocean.
If he didn't have Twitter, he'd probably be better liked, to be honest.
I would think so. Yeah. Exactly. And not be as combative. I understand the media is terrible. They've proven that really over the last, week and a half, which we're not going to go there, but
no.
They've had a reputation of being pretty pathetic when it comes to reporting.
Well,
but when you have that kind of combative attitude, on the president's side of things, and you got the media that's equally as combative, if not worse, it's a recipe for disaster. And you can't have that in a pandemic. But to your point, John, you made such a great point with Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker, I think, represents this idea of it doesn't matter how popular you were in, say, football, but if you just promote common sense.
Yeah, and that's what he's doing. And he's running on a Republican ticket, but he's more of a centralist. Yeah. That was my whole point.
And that's the whole point.
He's also running on certain Trump policies that are very centralist.
And that are very good for the nation. Yeah.
Exactly. That was my point. Thank you for melding that back up, because I kind of went on that tangent. Yeah. But because it makes me mad that people don't read policy. They look more at CNN and Fox, and they're like, well, that's my decision because...
Or that's not my president, or that's my president, I'm proud of
Joey
him.
No Nuts told me to not like him, I'm not going to like... It's high school all over again. And
exactly.
It's just dumb. I wasn't popular in high school, and I don't want to be popular now. But we're real quick, just on that, just to back up your point.
Yeah, sure.
We're going to go long on this segment anyway.
That's okay.
The new owner of CNN, I didn't even send this over to you yet, but what he said... Oh, we might need to cover that next week. He said there's no journalist at CNN. The guy that just bought it. The guy that just bought CNN was like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. I mean, it's like, and we'll get into that. I'm sure we'll get into that next week.
Oh, yeah, we're going to follow that dude. I like that guy. I like him a lot.
Yeah, that's just unbelievable.
He
Let's
might.
move on to topic 2 here, Johnny, real quick, because you sent this to me, CBS News article here, and it's very fascinating. The UN and Elon Musk have had some Twitter conversations in regards to global hunger, and Elon basically just put out a challenge, essentially saying, "Hey, look, listen, I've got $279 billion. I've got extra money to play. Essentially, I've got extra money to play with. What can we do to combat global hunger here? UN, if you could show me a plan that's going to combat this, I'll front the bill. I'll make sure this gets, out in the money." And the UN
came back
with a plan. So now they're having conversations, apparently over Twitter. This has us very excited, but also I'm tempering my expectations because I know that the UN is a corrupt organization. Let's face it.
Yes.
They just are.
And I'm not sure I trust Elon totally. He can't launch a rocket. So,
but, right? This is an
him
interesting story.
I give him a ton of credit because the research that I did on the Twitter feed is the UN tweeted out they could do damage to hunger. They could solve hunger if people like Elon Musk, they were kind of taking a shot at him. Mm-hmm. So good on him to be like, "I'll just sell some stocks. I got you. Just tell me how you're going to spend it." Yeah. I like Elon a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because of that. Because he took a tweet that was being kind of decisive.
Yeah.
It was not a nice tweet to like, "Oh, well, you got rich guys like this. We could solve hunger with those guys." Yeah. And he stepped up and he was like, "My pocketbook's open."
Yeah.
So
he's got close to $1 trillion. It's like, I've got $250 billion here. I can front this bill if you show me a plan. And the UN, it's just shocking. Awesome. They're saying that basically about $3.5 billion of a roughly $6 billion donation would go to buying food towards people that are mostly living in Africa and the Middle East. No surprise there, because they're in the middle of a freaking desert and not much, to grow in there.
There's a lot of non-democracies or constitutional republics out there.
Exactly. You also have Afghanistan. You have Congo, Sudan, South Sudan. You got
all are run by tribes.
Yeah.
So hunger's a problem there.
Food is going to be distributed by air, river, or truck. Doesn't matter. We're going to try and get it out there. They're basically saying that the proposed plan, according to UN, would feed about 42 million people that are currently starving. And according to the UN as well, 283 million people across 80 countries face extreme hunger. It's only gotten worse because of this pandemic. Yes. Thank you very much, lockdowns. But this is a positive step.
It is.
I think our tentativeness. Speaking for you, Johnny, hopefully I'm speaking correctly. If not, correct me if I'm wrong. But our tentativeness
I'm a little bit more optimistic than you, but I agree.
I think it's just the corruption that I'm worried about.
With your point.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more optimistic than you, but I absolutely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I have no issues with
if they've got a plan and if they have accountability towards that plan, that's going to be key. Because you can't just say, well, it's $3.5 billion and we're going to make sure that the food gets there. And if it doesn't get there, there's a problem there, and it won't be a shock. But if the UN steps up, holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely. But the UN is flirting with a guy that could put you on a rocket and make you disappear. I'm just saying,
he is trying to get rid of Jeff Bezos.
Might not be the toughest dude in the world, but he's got some connections. He's shooting stuff into space at this point.
Let me tell you something. If he could shoot Bezos and Zuckerberg into orbit, I
would like him to put Bezos in a rocket and shoot him at Zuckerberg. I could care if they go to space. Exactly. I want those two sons of bitches to collide.
Worlds are colliding.
All I want.
That's hilarious.
Nice dick rocket, Bezos. Link in bio.
Exactly. Well, John, as we move on here to topic number 3, we've got another one of our very Stop the Tape segments. And this one was quite something. This is our old friend, or my old friend, really, Dr. Anthony Fauci, He was being interviewed by 876-year-old Ted Koppel. We're cheeky over his age, I know, but Ted Koppel apparently came out of retirement to give Fauci a puff piece interview.
Oh, yeah. What a great head of hair, though, Ted, as we're looking at him before we start.
He's got more hair than me.
Head of hair.
Let me tell you.
Good job, Ted. Taking care of himself. Looking good.
Well, let's go ahead and play
yes, sir.
This first clip here.
For example, one of the things that to me was most difficult to accept is that we put together a good plan for how we were going to try and dampen down the spread of infection.
Oh, stop that. Yeah, John.
Of the disease that you funded and created from the Chinese Wuhan lab that Rand Paul has already run you through the coals with,
and
blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. And this was also the same plan that, we were going to squish this coronavirus within 14 days, right? I mean, 14 days to slow the spread.
14, 15, whatever it was, 10 maybe.
Don't touch your face, don't touch your mouth, don't touch your eye, don't touch anything. Make sure everything's clean. Well, it's a year and a half in.
By the way, I'm not going to get dirty here, but if you read the CDC guidelines originally, there were some things that would make anybody blush.
That's hilarious. Roll it.
Early on, thinking that was accepted by everybody, and then the next day, the president saying, free Michigan, free Virginia.
The fact that it's a lie, because it said liberate. Free. He has a PhD. You know what I mean? Someone is lying.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't use a word like free. He's trying to dumb it down in the puff piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't quite understand what the purpose of that was, except to put this misplaced perception about people's individual right to make a decision that supersedes
Stop the tape,
the
John.
Societal.
Please.
I mean, come on.
Just go.
This is the biggest problem that we've got right now, because I've had this argument with so many people. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, the collective. And it's like, well, don't you have your own responsibility to make sure that you are healthy? Mm-hmm. Like, it's on you to be healthy, right? I don't have to tell you what to do. I can only give you advice on what to do, but it ultimately is your individual right and responsibility to take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's how humanity works.
Yeah, that's how being a human works.
Yeah.
This whole idea of like, oh my God, well, and the people that were in Virginia and the people that were in Michigan were rightly expressing their viewpoint on governments that were locking everything down. You can't go to the gym. You can't do this. You can't do that. You
can't do all the healthy things that you were supposed to do to combat the virus.
You can't go to the gym, John.
Because that was the whole thing we talked about with Dr. Page, and he disagreed with the lockdowns also.
Yeah.
Because you're telling people that it's all about their health, but you're doing everything to their health.
Yeah, exactly. Not just physical, but mental.
Safety.
Yes.
That, to me, is one of the things that I think went awry in all of this.
Did you ever raise that with President Trump?
I didn't have the opportunity to raise it. I was sort of like shocked, and then I didn't speak to him for some time after that.
So you're telling me a dude that has a PhD, right? He literally has a PhD. He's a doctor.
He doesn't have
the balls to walk into Trump's office and be like, "You're an asshole."
I don't understand what we're doing.
What? So he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to. What is Trump that scary? What he's going to do? Beat him up? You guys are both 85. You roll around on a fucking floor like raccoons fighting over I don't even know what the term is. I'm trying to be funny. You two idiots couldn't do anything. Is what I'm trying to say. You'd have a disagreeable argument, and what? You both cry?
It's really amazing that he didn't have the opportunity. I mean, what was he doing? Was he doing?
You worked in the White House.
Was he going for a pizza? Like, what the heck's going on here? Like, you are the head of the National Institute of the Infection and Allergy Diseases. You are the head of this. You are the head of the NIH.
I apologize to the new head of the NIH, but isn't it the most made up little thing ever?
Yeah.
The National
the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, John. That's what Dr. Anthony Fauci...
That's so made up. That's so made up. Let's move on.
It was at that point that I realized that I would have to just get out there myself and say things that clearly were going to be contradictory.
Go ahead, Matt.
The
line going
so
through.
So essentially what he is saying to me, if I'm thinking about this, I know that my messaging is so bad that it will automatically be contradictory, that I have zero integrity in my speech, right? Zero. None. I had to fall on this sword, Ted, of speaking in contradictory terms. Get out of here with this. By the way, check out these graphics, Johnny. Look at that.
Look at that. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Good work.
What are you listeners?
Check us out on YouTube.
Yeah.
In public polling.
Yeah.
A couple of polls lately
Right.
have begun to indicate that people are losing faith.
Come on, Ted. Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, pull that salmon out of the river. Come on.
Ted's got to be retired for 20 years. Where did they find him?
I don't know. I think you speculated rightly in pre-production that he was in the Hamptons.
Yeah, they dug him out of the
enjoying a retirement, and then CBS was like, hey, can you do this?
Ted, for your sake, seriously, for your sake, I hope you got millions of dollars. I hope you got millions of dollars to sit there and look half dead interviewing.
Roll it. Yeah.
Right.
Are you just preaching to the choir these days?
You know, it's very, very tough because if you keep lying about someone and keep spreading preposterous accusations, that there are going to be some people, if they hear that often enough, are going to believe it. But that's just the way it is. I can't change the fabric of society.
Okay.
That's shocking because he just admitted in the interview that he had to fall on the contradictory sword. So which is it? You have no integrity. You basically have said you have no integrity. Which is it, Riddler? What the heck?
I'm going to bring this up because this is important, right?
Go ahead, John. Sorry.
He's literally saying he can't change the fabric of society. What? Basic people that all they want is the truth? He can't change that.
He had to fall on the contradictory sword, John.
All they want is the truth. Tell us what to do. Tell us how serious it is. We will act accordingly. We will take care of our neighbor. That is what that's how people live. Yeah. They will, when given the opportunity, people will rise to the occasion. This asshole is literally like, well, I can't change the fabric of society, so I'm just going to lie to him. That's what he's saying. Like, yeah. I can't break them, so all I'm going to do is confuse them.
I'm just going to confuse them rather than speak with integrity.
Look at that is the eyes of an evil human being. Yeah. It really is. Yeah. Right there.
Or a guy that really says as if contradicting himself is an honorable thing. It's not an honorable thing at all.
About social media and how it works.
Yeah, well, maybe you need to control your messaging.
Yeah, and stop.
That might be step one, or you'll restore your integrity. That might be step two.
Yeah, and the fact that let's just before we continue on with this, let's just go back and understand that he was the head of the NIH. He already said he was. Mm-hmm. He's already been in Senate hearings. The NIH has already came out and said that the NIH funded the coronavirus in the lab with a bunch of other viruses, way more toxic, way more mortality rates than this one.
Yeah.
It's already come out that he has funded research that did terrible things to dogs, did terrible things to people. He's been funding, and just recently someone just came out and said that he's so insane from what they've learned from these dives. He needs to be in a straitjacket at this point.
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're not doing this because he's a nice man and he was trying to help people.
No.
He's a criminal.
No, yeah, I completely agree, John. I mean, and it shows in a way that not only in his actions, but in his speech and in the way he twists and turns things.
We are now at 70 to 75,000 cases a day.
70 to 75 cases a day.
75,000.
I just want 75,000. I just want everybody to understand that. 75,000 cases. Now listen to the next thing.
And over 1,000 deaths.
Matt, what's the math on that?
Okay, so you got 70,000 cases a day.
Yes. This is in a country of billions.
So, and we're looking at 330 million people. So
Yes.
I'm just going to use 70,000 cases into 330 million people. So doing the math on that, that's 0.00021%.
So it's less than it was at the beginning.
Or 99.97% of the people that do not have or have recovered from coronavirus.
Okay.
Combination of those two things.
That is an unacceptable point to say we've got to live with it.
Why is that?
That's a great question, John. And I know we talked about this in pre-production. Let me just throw this at you on a devil's advocate perspective here. I think his thought process, it's already twisted to begin with. We've already established that. Right?
Understood.
His thought process is, if the 70,000 cases continue to escalate and continue to get worse and worse and worse, even though we have vaccines, even though we have therapeutic drugs out there, if it gets worse and worse and worse, the hospitals are going to be so overrun that people are going to start dying in the streets, and we can't have that. So we have to tamp this down. We have to make sure to get this down so that we can, quote unquote, live with this virus. That's the best explanation.
But he's refusing to live, because he just said he's refusing to live with it. This isn't acceptable to live with it.
Right.
He wants to abolish it.
I suppose so, but there's never a number.
Get it way down below that, well below 10,000 a day. That may be something that we can ultimately live with.
That's amazing to me.
10,000 a day.
And it may be something that we can live with.
Yes, but that's also scientifically, and please, if you're a doctor and you know better than I, but I'm betting I'm right on this one, right? 10,000 a day. You're talking 3.3 billion people. 10,000 cases a day? It's impossible. That's an impossible number.
Yeah. And it literally would be, in order to get to that number, to your point, John, you literally would have to administrative state this to death to get a 10,000.
Which still doesn't work, because how many breakthrough cases are there from vaccines across the world in the 70,000 that have been, or the 70% that they say have been vaccinated?
Brilliant. Roll it. Let's roll it. I love this animation of these graphics. This is awesome, Johnny. I'm telling you.
That does great work. I'm going to give it all to him because I didn't do anything. I don't know anything about anything.
Here we go.
A couple of years ago, it was not uncommon for us to lose 30,000 Americans a year to the flu.
Single greatest question from Ted Koppel.
Let's just do math, okay? Why not? Let's do math. So he's saying that 1,000 people, right?
Well, he's saying 30,000. Let's replay
No,
what he
not
said.
what Ted Koppel
30,000 people in America dying from the flu every year,
Yes.
and this was an acceptable standard.
Let's go back to Fauci, because he was saying that 1,000 deaths
a day
at 750,000 corona cases, right? It was unacceptable, but Ted's bringing out the number of the flu, which was 30,000
in a year.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
Right. Is that an acceptable level?
No, it's not. The difference between influenza and COVID-19 is that we don't have a very good vaccine against influenza.
In fact, that's true, because we've had the flu for years.
But you push the...
But you don't eliminate it through a vaccine. I mean, ultimately, you have to continue to build up the immunity in order to beat it.
Yeah, but we live with the flu, and we're doing fine with it. Yes, I mean, people do die. Like, I understand this isn't... where I'm not trying to be cold and calculated, and I don't give a hell about anybody. People die. I get it. It sucks. Yeah. It's terrible. Yeah. But this dude is running... He's trying to run drug dealer game, and he's not good at it.
I mean, or his end goal, his twisted end goal, is to make sure that there are no cases in COVID.
Or that he gets paid for all the vaccines.
Or there's a quota.
So we cannot accept a high level.
We can't accept. Same thing Joe Biden said. We have lost a lot by now. We.
Oh, yeah.
Not I.
Oh, yeah.
I can't accept, because that would be what a non-narcissist would say as a doctor. Like Dr. Page that was on our show would say, I lost patients to COVID-19.
Yeah, not we.
We.
We. Yeah. Roll it.
Of deaths to COVID-19 when we have a vaccine that could prevent it.
If we had a chance to do it again, should we? Do we find the right man or woman who is so highly regarded, so trusted, that we put it all under his or her control?
Stop the tape, Johnny. Oh my God, what a question. What a...
It's actually a really good question.
In the greatest country in the world, for a reason, because of, they have basically, the founders essentially have said, government, you're in your box. You can't do anything. You get this asinine question, and this is why Ted Koppel should stay retired. Because this is a classic question of administrative state policy right here.
Yep.
100%, and it should be avoided. It has nothing to do whether or not a person is more friendly and comes across better or has even integrity. It's none of their business, quite honestly. It's up to all of us individually to go out there and to lead healthy lives. It's none of anybody else's business. That's
we
the
had
problem
a country where people realized the importance of a communal effort, then we could do that.
So he's literally saying that when we did the 14 days or 15 days to slow the spread, we didn't do a good job. That's literally what Fauci just said.
Yeah.
He said if we lived in a place where everybody realized it was a communal effort. That's what he just said.
Yeah. And that's pathetic.
It is, because...
That is really pathetic.
I don't know anybody. I literally know anybody that was trying to kill someone else with this virus.
Yeah.
Other than Fauci.
In a few weeks, you're going to be 81 years old. It would not be unreasonable to say, you know something, folks? I've done what I could. See you.
That's not the way I look at it. I'm the head of an institute that actually played the major role in the development of the vaccine.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, Moderna, Pfizer, Merck had... I have something to say about that?
He was a part of the institution we already learned. He killed beagles. He created the coronavirus. He created the AIDS vaccine. He created a ton of stuff. What was that report that came out that Bill Gates spent $380 million on all this stuff? Basically, not to Anthony Fauci, but to Anthony Fauci's cronies across the world. There was a lot of money going into this.
Oh, yeah. Roll it.
That have saved now millions of lives at COVID-19. I'm the director of the institute that has now been very important in the basic research in leading to the drugs that will now have an important impact in the treatment.
That's another lie.
Yeah, again, Mark might have something to say about that.
Yeah, because he didn't do anything with the antibodies. He's not in charge of that.
COVID-19. That's what I do. So I'm going to keep doing that until this.
You know what this is? You ever hear of Do you ever hear of Heroes Complex?
Yeah, it's a narcissist, Johnny.
Yeah, where the guys would start the fires to put them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
exactly what this guy is.
And
that's why I call him the Riddler.
Yep.
Because if you look at the Riddler in the Batman comics, the Riddler was a narcissist. He put the riddles together to be a narcissist. And this is what Fauci is, unfortunately.
The outbreak is in the rear view mirror.
Yeah, speaking of the rear view mirror, I think we ought to put him in the rear view mirror. What do you say, Johnny?
Tom, I wish that Riddler thing would fall off again.
Batman's really looking at him there. I mean, he's
staring him down. He's staring him down.
But again, I mean,
get on him.
He's just trying to save face, and as typical Fauci of what he does, he twists and turns, and he falls on a contradictory sword. That seems to be what he does. I would much rather go to a Doc Alex Page for any sort of
he's a real doctor.
infirmity because he's a real doctor and he would help me.
Fauci's not a real doctor.
No.
I mean, Dr. IP is a real doctor, but
Dr. IP is a real doctor too. That's right.
we're just saying, like, he's not a real doctor, dude. He's a doctor of science, and I'm not saying that doctors of science aren't real doctors. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is this idiot is a doctor of science. He's not a medical doctor, and he's giving you medical advice.
Yeah. And did you also notice this too, John? In those entire clips, which again, we're going to link this to our show notes. That is an abridged version. Yeah. But there's a full 8-minute clip if you want to torture yourself watching CBS.
If you want to throw up,
you can do that.
If you guys have the flu, you can throw up watching.
I will say this: not 1 second of any one of that interview, not 1 second was devoted to. Here's what you can do: eat right.
Yep.
Exercise. Get sleep. We had Doc on in episode 51 that said all three of those things. All three of them were filled with common sense.
Yeah.
So you can take Fauci for what he wants. Not one time. This is a doctor of health. This is like, it blows my mind in a way. But it's like, not 1 second, not 1 millisecond was even devoted to eat an orange every day, take a walk every day, get 8 hours of sleep every day. Not one of that. So he shouldn't be paying attention to. And I cannot wait until this thing is in the rearview mirror, and it is. But
he just
needs to be fired and
he's gonna get
locked up.
Yeah, he's gonna get arrested.
He's a lunatic.
It's coming. It's coming. Fauci will be in an orange jumpsuit. I guarantee you.
Yeah,
he will be.
I hope so. We got to get that photo with it.
People are very tired of him, and the Senate and the Congress are not happy with him either. He's lied to them repeatedly. And that's one thing you cannot do. Whether you like the government or not, you cannot go to a congressional hearing or a Senate hearing and lie your face off. Yeah. And he's done that repeatedly. He's going to be the victim of the administrative state that he is trying to impose.
Oh, no question.
And that is going to be the funny part about it. Because he's going to go down. He's going to go down.
He will go down. No question.
He's a terrible human being.
Yep. Well, let's transition away from that, John. I think that's
terrible human being.
Ooh, get rid of that. But we got some Philly news. Let's talk some Philadelphia Phillies. Let's change it up here a little bit. First, before we hit the Phillies mascot, the Phanatic, let's talk a little Bryce Harper. The season that he had, man. National League MVP in a close vote, really, against Juan Soto, but he just, leaps and bounds ahead of everything what he did, right?
It's tough. It was a tough call. I'm glad he got it. There were so many deserving candidates.
Yeah. So
many deserving candidates this year. We had amazing years out of a lot of young stars. A couple I had to call up the kids and be like, because they're bigger in the baseball than I am, like, are these guys the real deal? And they were like, no doubt. No doubt they're the real deal. So he was in a real race. He was in a real race. This is probably the realest race I think we've had in a couple of years.
Easily a couple of years. Yeah, easily in the last 5 years for sure.
His OPS and his OPS plus, the fact that he hit over 300 for probably the first time in his career, I believe.
Yeah.
Didn't hit a ton of home runs. What, he was like 35?
35 homers, 84 RBIs, but 309 batting average.
Yeah, not MVP numbers on those two, but the other numbers
were huge on the sabermetric side. Were enormous. Slugging percentage of .615, OPS of 1.044. So that means he's on base probably about 39% of the time.
Barry Bonds level when he broke the record.
Yeah.
That on base percentage, that slug percentage, that's Barry Bonds numbers right there when he broke the record.
Huge. Just this little sentence here from the Inquirer, Johnny, about Harper winning the NL MVP. I'll get it out. Mm-hmm. His 179 OPS plus is the third best by a Phillies player since 1900. He joined Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, and Stan Musial as the only outfielders in baseball history to have 100 runs, 100 walks, 40 doubles, and 35 homers in a season. He did that this last year. And he's Babe, Barry, and Stan. I think that's pretty
damn good competition.
Amazing. Yeah. Is he the most popular player in the city right now?
No, I think JoJo's the most popular.
You think so? Yeah.
I think he's right up there. I think
1A?
I think they're all there. There's a bunch of them. There's Darius Slay's a big
he
big one in the city. People like Hurts too. I like Hurts a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Hurts. I don't think he's the.
I don't think like overall, like in the city.
Yeah, I think it's JoJo, Bryce, Reese.
And then you probably have Jalen, probably.
Yeah, Jalen.
And with
Hurts,
Darius thrown in as fun.
Darius Slay is they're probably like 1 for. We know Ben's the most hated.
Yeah.
Giroux's probably right above Ben. Because people like him, but people also hate him.
Yeah, exactly. He has his haters at his yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So, I mean, you got, who's that, the big kid for the Flyers that everybody likes?
Oh, probably, it's either Provorov or Atkinson is a new kid. Carter Hart's another guy that everybody loves.
Yeah, there's a couple of them.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
But he's certainly, Harper is certainly on the level of JoJo, I would think, in terms of overall popularity within the United States. They've got the city in the palm of their hand, both of them, really.
I absolutely. I don't think it's much of a competition, but JoJo's just more media savvy.
I would agree with that.
I think the city likes him the most.
Yeah.
But
JoJo's got the infectious personality, whereas Harper will hustle every single night out.
Bryce Harper, I mean, dude. How many times did he stole home more times than I think we've seen in baseball in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
His second to third, get real baseball, like his first to second and his second to third, his ability to understand the outfielders you're playing against and hustling was beyond what you normally see in baseball. He was on a different level this year.
I mean, and think about this. Like, he willed that team, that Phillies team, to 82 wins. If he's not in there, and think about this too, John, he missed a good portion of the season getting hit in the face with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. So he was on the DL for a while. If he's in those weeks, they easily probably hit 90, maybe 92 wins. You know,
and don't lose Rhys Hoskins. You might have been a 100-win team.
But without him, they don't win 70 games, if that at all.
But that's what I'm saying. If Rhys Hoskins in and he's out, they win 72 games. But with him and Rhys together, I think it was the only thing they were missing.
Yeah,
was that bat in front of him. They could have even did even better, and that would have been. But that was the cool part about his season.
Oh yeah.
Just to wrap the Bryce Harper thing up is when Rhys got hurt, he got better. And that's what superstars do.
Which is amazing. Yeah. Which is all you can ask for, too, out of a superstar player like him. So he's going to be, it'll be interesting to see if he replicates something like that. You can't do it year to year. But if you have a batch like 280 or 285, I'll take it, Johnny. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. You're seeing it right now with Maxey, with the Sixers getting the playing time because Ben's not there.
Yeah, and he's taking advantage of it.
Yep. A superstar.
No
because
doubt.
that's what good players do.
Yeah, exactly. But then we also had the Phanatic. And, of course, last year, the Phanatic, big controversy, right? So I guess we'll tell that story.
Yes.
They basically created the mascot real quick back in the mid to late 70s. And they signed a contract, the Phillies, and it was really through Jim Henson and the Muppets, actually. So it's a big overstuffed Muppet.
Makes sense.
So, yeah. So, and they signed a contract for for 35 years. And they licensed it to the Phillies in 1984 for $250,000. Well, in 2018, the creators of the Phanatic notified the Phillies that the 84 agreement was going to be up in June of 2020, and they're going to basically take him out to the open market. Phillies are like, whoa, time out. You can't take this away from us. We love him. So they were fighting back and forth. And so there was a little bit, I guess you could say, if Dr. IP was on with us, there's a little bit of an infringement going on there, because what the Phillies did was they plucked the I guess it was the tail for sure, and the eyebrows around them, they changed them into that kind of like the light blue color, John, for like the throwback uniforms, right?
Totally.
And they replaced it, and so it was the Phanatic, but it really wasn't. So it was kind of like, well, happy to report that that's all been resolved, and he'll be reverting back to his original costume.
Thank God, because nobody noticed. But
I did, and it traumatized me as a 45-year-old.
When I read the article, I went back and I looked at the photos, and I was like, oh, if I was paying way more attention, I would have been outraged. But I wasn't outraged.
You weren't outraged.
You know what I mean? But no, I'm really happy that they went back. They were able to get to agreement, because that's something. Branding is such an important thing.
Yeah.
And that's for my thought process when I read that made me feel good, because my grandfather introduced me to the Philly Phanatic. My dad then introduced, but like I thought it was creepy all these years. Yeah. But baseball comes down from so many generations, just something simple like that. Because if they would have went that way, you would have got people that would have been like, well, I don't like the Phanatic because it's not the same as when I was younger. And then the Phanatic falls away in the kids' mind.
Exactly. That's a great point.
And that's not what we want. Like, we want to, we want the Phanatic. My kids love the Phanatic.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're right. Branding, it makes such a big difference with the Phillies. The Phanatic has been there for so long.
It has to be the same. It can't.
Yeah, exactly. And you think about it with any other, and sometimes, like, other baseball teams don't have the mascot, but they're synonymous with their ballparks. Cubs with Wrigley Field.
Exactly.
Yankees with Yankee Stadium. Orioles, they've got a mascot, but no one really knows what that mascot is, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't even
know his name. That's crazy.
But even the Mets have Mr. Met, which is with a guy in a baseball outfit with a big baseball head. Yeah, okay.
Mr. Met's one of my favorites. I like Mr. Met almost as much as I like the San Diego Chicken. No joke.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I like mascots.
Yeah.
That's why dude, I was
with the Flyers. I mean, for crying out loud.
I was an anti-Gritty fan until that text.
That's sometimes that's all it takes.
That's all it took. Sleep with one eye open, bird. I was like, you know what?
Jump right on him.
They put the engine behind him.
Yeah.
It's the same thing we were just talking about Bryce Harper. Like Middleton put the meat where it was, and Bryce Harper performed.
Exactly.
It's the same thing. That's what Gritty was. That's what we're saying. Like, you're putting the Phanatic better come out and shine, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. I think he will.
They're spending money now to get your blue eyebrows back there. I want to see some stuff. I want to see some old school 80s stuff now. Shoot someone with a hot dog thing. Like, I want to see that Tommy Lasorda. Wasn't him and Tommy Lasorda some of the greatest stuff ever?
It was the greatest. It was the absolute greatest beef. Yeah, exactly.
I want that back. Now that you got your blue back, bro, I need you to go to work.
Yeah, exactly. Let's make some fun.
Call the Phanatic out. The two Noobs has no bounds.
Exactly.
Call the Phanatic out. Take some lessons.
Hilarious. That's great. Well, John,
you need to step your game up too, Swoop.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can't tell with the Sixers real quick. The Sixers mascot used to be, what was it, the bunny rabbit, right? Years ago, but the Croce era. But then they changed it, right?
Now it's a dog or something. I don't even know. JoJo's my mascot for the Sixers. That's all I need. I just need a 7-foot player that can do everything.
Everything. Dunk the ball.
I don't need
shoot the three. Exactly. John, as we close two Noobs, you found another terrific World War II video here of Hershel Williams, affectionately known as Woody. And so this is a 6-minute video that we're going to play, but he's going to be talking about his, I guess you could say, adventure at Iwo Jima.
That's being nice. This is what happened in Iwo Jima War.
Got the Medal of Honor. So it kind of gives you an idea. The highest office or highest award you could ever be received in the land, basically for military.
This isn't Ellen DeGeneres getting it from Barack Obama. This is
this is
a president
far beyond. Yeah,
he got after he came back from war. He got it from not probably our favorite president, but from a president nonetheless.
From a president, yeah. So let's go ahead and share this. It's just a remarkable video.
Much of that day was just absolutely blank. Now, there are other things that are so vivid. I've never been able to get them out of there. When I hit the beach at Iwo, or we hit the beach at Iwo, we had established on Guadalcanal a special weapons unit, that's what we called it. And we had trained for flamethrower and demolition. We had been attempting to take pillboxes, which were numerous, and my commanding officer called for a meeting. He said to me, "Do you think you could do anything with flamethrower on these pillboxes?" I've never known what I said. Some of the fellows after the campaign, we got back to Guam, some of the fellows said that my response was, "I'll try." He assigned me 4 Marines, 2 automatic riflemen and 2 regular riflemen, and I separated them. I spread them out so that they could have a crossfire, and got flamethrower on the back and started to work. I didn't know it because things are chaotic, but 2 of those Marines gave their life that day. They were there protecting me. There were 13 of us receiving the Medal of Honor the same day. And of course, President Truman was doing the presentation. They have to read the citation, then they give the president the medal and he puts it around your neck. My body is shaking. That's how scared I was. And he said to me, as he said in many ways, different ways to different people, that he would rather have this medal than to be president. The next day, we had to report to the Commandant of the Marine Corps. I've said I don't know where I was more frightened, with the president or with the Commandant. I think with the Commandant. He meant more to me in the Marine Corps than the president did. You know? But in his conversation, one of the things that he said that's always been there is that medal. And he didn't make any motions. He's sitting there very stern. That medal does not belong to you. It belonged to all those Marines who never got to come home. That I remember. When I first got home, I got a letter from the VA, from the Veterans Administration, saying that I could have a job as a contact representative, and 33 years later I retired. I never dreamed what a great job it really was, because I'm going to be serving not only my fellow veterans, but I'm going to be serving families and survivors of veterans. And it makes you want to do everything you possibly can, and even more, to service them, to help them, to give them something that maybe they wouldn't have received any other way. So it was very rewarding. Best job in the world. I don't think it's a fault. But sometimes we do forget things that are very important to us, not necessarily just to us, but for historical purposes. We sometimes forget the sacrifices that have been made by families, by loved ones, by veterans, just so we can wake up free every morning. And without them, without that commitment, that dedication, and that sacrifice, we wouldn't be America. We'd be something else.
Really is amazing, John. So we're looking through that citation. Just shocking. And, as we're recording this, it's getting close to Thanksgiving. I can't help but be thankful for Hershel Williams' service to the country and what he did to protect us from the foreign enemy that we were facing in the World War II. What are your thoughts there, real quick, bud?
Wow, what a story!
Yeah.
So when I first saw it, it's actually a funny story. We'll give you a little behind the scenes. I was just kind of hanging out. Went to bed a little bit early. Wasn't feeling well. Was a little sick last week, and I was just kind of flipping through YouTube, and I delve into every cheesy piece I can find, and this is one that came on after one of them, and I had known of Hershel before. In another story that I heard, he worked for the VA for like 33 years. So there's tons of stuff out there. Like, he's definitely Googleable, just like we are. But I never heard an account that he had. And when I listened to the account, that's when I texted it to you. And I was like, we should probably run this, because this is 100%. It just pulls at my heartstrings. Like, he went through probably something that most people couldn't.
Yeah.
But also then dedicated his life 33 more years to people coming home from the same stuff, and
that he went
how
through.
much of a difference this guy probably made that has no idea that he made.
And the lives he's touched over the years. Are you kidding me?
The sacrifice is unbelievable. That is what we mean by servitude and doing right by humanity.
No question. Well put.
Because he's one guy that knows. Nobody watching this podcast, maybe there is a vet, and thank you, anybody who's watching this is a veteran, that any combat battle that is watching this, and you know what it's like to get shot at and pull out a mission, like, because I don't know anything about that. You know what I mean? Nothing.
Do I. Yeah.
So I'm not going to act like I do.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you're judging it and you don't know, this guy's telling you shut up and sit down.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
And I agree with him.
Yeah. I mean, his last sentence there just should give you chills up and down your spine to think, like, if he doesn't do the things that he's asked to do in the theater.
Yes. God bless him for everything that he did. It doesn't matter if it was a minor mission or a major mission. It doesn't matter. The fact that they were there for freedom.
Yeah.
For not just America. Because World War II was different. That was freedom for the world.
It was.
If anybody didn't go to history class, Hitler was moving at a rate.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, nobody that lives now that is listening to this literally understands the rate that he was moving.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he wanted world domination. Yeah.
He would have easily taken over the Middle East within 3 to 5 months if the United States didn't get involved.
I mean, he just practically walked over Poland, practically walked over France, was taking over Belgium and the Netherlands, who were trying to put up a fight, couldn't. And then you have Italy, and Italy's right there, kind of running right alongside, and it was a disaster.
He was also gaining steam. That's the thing. He was gaining sympathizers. It wasn't like everybody wants to look at World War II and be like, oh, well, Hitler was a bad man. And he was the one singular. He was gaining steam.
Yeah.
People agreed with him.
Yeah.
He was
a wretched human being.
Yes, but he was getting support.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the crazy part that history doesn't teach. Like, school doesn't teach you that.
Yeah.
But that's real history books.
Yeah, yeah.
He was a very big threat, and these men and these women from America and Europe
and Britain
and England and all them, those men and women did something bigger than any of us will ever do.
And I mean, they really fought for not only the freedom of the country, But yeah, to your point, the
freedom of the world.
No.
That was World War II was, and hope to God we never have a World War III.
Absolutely.
That we hope every day because World War II was that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't learn from the first one, so we had to have a second one.
Yeah.
So hopefully just like every good movie, it dies at the sequel.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need a trilogy of World Wars.
No trilogy.
You know?
We don't do trilogies.
How about that? Exactly. Well, John, that wraps it up, man. Episode 59 of Two Noobs Talking. And as always, it's great to talk with you about all these things.
We'll call it 59.1, but that's only for me.
Well, yeah. Technical glitches here and there. I don't mind talking to you on a...
Stop. Yeah, exactly.
You know, come on. You know, it's great. But before we get the heck out of here, let's hit up people with our socials, where people can find us, all that kind of good stuff. So... let's go ahead and just dive in.
Matt hasn't created. I'm going to go rogue for a minute. Matt hasn't created an overlay for like.
Well, first of all, you need to be with the overlays here. I mean, I'm looking at this is really amazing over here with all the borders, and I mean, we do it with the flyers and the. This is the Philly Union, by the way. This is looking really, really sharp. I love it.
I appreciate that you like my artistic ability. I'm just saying, like, he hasn't created this thing that goes across the screen like he does for, like, the Fab Five or anything. So we won't actually name it because, like, he could do, like, what do we call it again? We call it the shameless plugs.
Oh, the shameless plugs, yeah.
So hopefully Matt's going to now, maybe not this episode, but maybe next episode, we'll do a nice little shameless plug. Matt edits this thing. Kudos to Matt.
There you go.
100%.
There you go.
Edits this thing so beautifully every week. I enjoy watching it over. Excuse me for the,
That's all right. Well, let's hit them up on our socials. Let's do those shameless plugs.
Facebook, we do videos sometimes when I'm not wishing people birthdays. Because that's all I do on Facebook. I try not to pay attention to anything on Facebook. Nice. But every once in a while, when we find good stuff, and me and Matt feel like it's worthy for people to see. We make good points or something like that. Sometimes we just, ramble on. Yep. But we put them out on Facebook, and we also put them out on TikTok and Instagram Reels. We get some love there, so it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And we do that just to bring us back to
the main YouTube channel, and that's the Two Noobs Talking podcast. You probably saw that when we were doing the Fauci clips. We got our name right there. But, yeah, we would really love it, of course, if you like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get notified of any of our videos when they come out.
Please.
We generally drop them on Wednesdays, but we try and do also the shorts. We've been kind of experimenting a little bit with that.
We're trying.
But we're trying. We're doing the best we can with that. And, of course, on our audio side, we have a great audio support with Podbean. But that, John, gets us out to where, man?
Oh, we're on Apple Podcast. We're on Google Podcast. We're Googleable. Thanks, Steve, for that word. I said it twice in this episode.
That's awesome.
We're Googleable. Two Noobs Talking podcast. You can Google us if you need to. We're on Lav. We're on every podcast outlet. We're also on Spotify. If you're listening to this on Spotify, just know that my hatred for Spotify is so deep.
John.
Do you know how they do the Orange Man bad thing?
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Spotify.
I don't know about this logo here, but if you don't mind, I'm just going to chuck it away in the trash again. Good grief. Every time you bring it up, it's awful.
If it bounces back, please hit it with a bat or something.
Definitely will.
Maybe we'll do that later.
Definitely will.
I hate it so bad.
Oh, my God.
If you work for Spotify, I dislike you, but I'm willing to be friends with you. I'm just telling you that right now.
That's your compromise right there. Then we have our show notes. Yes. Now, rumor has, I mentioned last episode, that we might be changing our address. We're still looking at that. But for now, you can find our show notes at twonoobstalking.wordpress.com. Yes. You go there, you enter in your email address, hit enter. The show notes show up in your inbox the very next day. Of course, that's where we link all of our articles to. And if you wanted to torture yourself with a Fauci CBS Sunday morning video, you could. We don't recommend it, though, because you'll lose your mind. But, if you ever wanted to do that, you could. But all the other articles that we mentioned, the CBS News article with Elon Musk and all the others, feel free to take a look. So that's it, John. Episode 59 is in the can. It's on to 60. I'm really exhausted because I know I did a hit session today.
There you go.
Before I go to bed, do you have anything final to say? Big sip of beer.
No.
Okay, good.
We're leaving.
We're leaving. Talk to y'all next week, guys. Take care.
What do you make of all the fake news that is affecting?
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
What do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information?